We're up.
We're up, are we?
Mm-hmm.
First thing, do we want the same? We'll keep the same. We'll do that for now. We'll mess with that later on. So the first thing we're going to say, if you guys want something different, I would just like to keep it in-house. So we got different, obviously, artwork for podcasts we have too. I just don't know why we didn't use those to spread that around a little bit. That's perfectly fine. Key here is we're trying to use stuff that's not, copyrighted is the idea. We don't want to have anybody get pissed off for using our artwork without permission and things of that nature. This is uniquely us, solely us, so we can throw this up, have fun all day with it. Now, throwing a Dart Pack logo on something is perfectly within the confines of what they said to use. We're not selling their material. We're using it to run a game, and that's it. So that's perfectly fine within the confines of what that is. So keep it lively is what we're saying. Think about it going forward. For those of you new to this, you were kind of chosen to do an actual play of V5. However, we're going to break into some pioneering territory ahead of schedule. I like being different and being weird, and I also like seeing just how accurate we can be. And what we're actually going to do is run V5 Sabbat, is what we're going to do in the current timeline. Tired of waiting? I don't particularly care one way or another what's actually going to come in a canon book. I care that we're having a good time doing it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I like. Due to Flyos and, of course, Vampire Chapters, we know Montreal was hollowed out, right, or vacated or whatever. There's a story there where the Sabbat aren't there. Now, I'm going to handle that in as to why and maybe what went on, things of that nature. But being Sabbat, what appeals to you guys? Obviously, I'm ahead of the curve there. I mentioned Montreal. It could be anywhere. It could be Montreal. It could be Detroit. We could even have it be Chicago, and you're a fringe group trying to take back glory or whatever it is. Or what I like, vengeance on the La Sombra. Nobody mentions that. Like the whole of Clan La Sombra said, yeah, let's go Cam, and was happy with it. If you're me, it's bullshit. There's got to be some playing a traitor, and let's figure that out. And I'm perfectly fine with that. You guys want to go Black Can? That's doable. We could figure it out for some of you that's new. You don't want to do the Sabbat aspect. That's what I hooked you on, was V5 Sabbat, come do this. If you want to throw an audible and decide you want to do Archons and come down an angle, handling some type of business, we could do that too. The point is, this is Mr. Toad's Wild Ride from 25 VTM. And we're not going to put up some old boring, hey, you're here to talk to the prince, take a knee, we hate you, join Clan B, bring your grapes, bring your artwork. We're going to skip that. It's a nice, close group, fun-loving people. Let's have that chat. What are we looking for?
I just still want to throw my hat in the ring for Sabbat. If we get to play Sabbat where day raids are like part of our daily plan, this is like a thing that's just normal as opposed to when you mess up, I think that could be great. I would like to play that sensation of a constant existential threat where we're the good guys and the rest of the world doesn't know it yet. I'm all about it.
We're the good guys. Okay. Now, when you say like day raids are like a part of the part and parcel, are you talking about like heavy Second Inquisition threat to the rest of the Sabbat? Something like that? I'm
talking about the Second Inquisition that's a reality like the police department is for vampires in V5, right? I don't have that miscalculated.
Okay.
That's just, so we're Sabbat vampires. How much more present is it for us?
So I feel like we're like, I feel like what so what I'm envisioning with that is more like Sabbat burn notice, right? Where we got to go like to ground a bit. Because if we have to take into account...
So hang on. Apparently, I did do a goof, right? I should let everybody introduce themselves and go through with that.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of fun because, we got the name placards, all that stuff. And my name, of course, is in 25 years of BTM. So good call, Sully. He's moderator for us, so he's always making sure we got checks and balances done. So we're going to let you start off.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Mike Michelli. Everyone here calls me Miss Ellie. It's a lot easier. I'm the community moderator for 25 VTM. I usually work in the background, making sure that new people join the community. Know where they're going, know who to talk to, where to share their love for the World of Darkness. Specifically, 25 VTM is the focus, but not the exclusive subject we talk about. And I just make sure that the community is having a great time.
Awesome. DJ, be sure to feed him this week.
Definitely will. I'm Chris /DJ / a Devil Monkey of the East Coast. As you probably heard us on a podcast, I am a storyteller for 25 years. I'm very happy to be here. I'm always happy to perform, and I'll throw it over to Mike.
That's Big Mike.
Yeah. I'm Mike, Big Mike, sometimes Sugars, depending on where and when you catch me. I currently storytell a Sabbat game. I've done it before. Sabbat happens to be my favorite sect. Before that, I was a player, and the Discord is great. You should check out Curse Kane.
Well, I love it. The comfort zone is real.
Your turn, Brentron. Go ahead.
Oh, my turn. Okay. Hey, everyone. I'm Brennan, also known as Brentron, also known as the Black Dragon. I am, I do something for this group. Usually editing, usually like anything that's technical, running a lot of games. And I'm going to throw it over to our friend, Mr. Brandon.
Yo, what up? It's me. My name's Brandon, otherwise known as Mr. Thumb or Bernagle. I'm here because I like to play games. I want to say I contribute something to the Discord like everybody else, but I'm like, I don't think I really contribute anything except I just
You're
play.
a valuable member of the community.
I was ready for you to say that, and you don't get to sit here with us and say that you don't contribute anything. Now, I'll tell you what you contribute. I was a joy to watch you join and bring you on board, and you came with an empty cup. You said you didn't understand the game, ever really played, want to check it out. You want to understand, you want to learn more. You were always thirsty to try new things. You were the first to jump in to try something. The more uncomfortable, the better it seemed, and you learned with the best of them. You didn't have to master anything to jump in and just start trying to role play and doing very, very well. For that, it was a blessing to the community. I watched tons of people gravitate to you as being one of the most popular people we have in our server because it's a joy to have you at the table. From the commentary, from the laughter, from the even when we're not, running a game and just hanging out and chat, you're a fun person. And I hope everybody gets to see that. That's why you're here. What that does for the community, pours gold, right? It's contagious. It spreads. People feel it breaks the elitism. So when someone says I'm elite, look what I could do, I enjoy telling them, yeah, you're elite, but he's the one with the XP. How'd that happen? Because it's about having fun. It's about making sure those around you have fun. And it's about bringing in, trying new things is okay. Pass or fail as long as you have a good time's the point. And you own that as a golden rule. And that's why you're here. And trust me, it breathes a lot into what we try to do and get going on for everybody, STs included. Look at that.
I'm speechless.
Watch it right. I was watching it from the be like, I didn't know. That's the truth, and it's public, and now it's immortalized, recorded. So later on, when I poop all over you, you'll go, okay, at least made it recording to know he still likes me.
I can always go back to this, and I'm crying, and I'm like, Bob said he liked me. It's okay.
And of course, I'm Bob of 25 years of ETM. I don't like to say owner. I like to say team coordinator. That's a more comfortable thing for me. It's a joy. I have a big team, robust team, very successful and talented team. More importantly, they're a part of the community, plucked from the community that has stayed loyal to us this past 3 years, soon to be 4, and has made us a huge success. And it keeps going on. And we hope to keep doing that because it's something I believe in. This isn't about one person starting a podcast, doing anything like that. It's about a community getting a voice that we could reach out and touch these people who are making the stuff that we like so they could hear we don't like or we do like what you do. And that's actually the most important thing. If you ever read a string of a lot of crap books you felt but never had anybody hear about it, that's the point of reviews, is that someone somewhere might feel like you do. Listen to them, give a point, engage in the discussion, but do it to the positive. It's okay to say you don't like something, but it's not okay to say the person who put their heart and soul into it, they ultimately suck and don't know what they're doing, because that's never true. It's just usually play style and artistic integrity, i.e. where they rushed. Often that gets overlooked. It's an industry about timetables, and that's hard to do. And you just got to be aware of that. So without further ado, and is that enough? Did we meet that? Michelli, I want to make sure we got that down.
Works for me.
Okay. All right,
Works for me.
We were talking about the type of setting, and just to rehash, Big Mike jumped in and said that we're going to do V5 Sabati. Likes that idea. Brennan was grilling him, trying to get to a point, and you got to understand, thank God for Mississippi, according to Brennan. So we got to give him his time to to define it. The Black Dragon needs to think. So what were we getting at, Brennan? What were you looking to do?
I was just trying to make sure I'm on the same page with what's been with what he was throwing out, right? Because he said something that kind of I was having trouble picturing, and that's like day raids are part and parcel. Maybe I'm paraphrasing a bit. Like I don't understand that. Like, we're expected to be day raided like all the time wherever we go.
I can clarify that a bit. In V20 timeline, Mike's running a Sabbat game right out of Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of problems with Detroit that are going in there, and he and I talked about that game, right? And since we were building story and whatnot, one of the themes is that eventually it's just war. You can't be the most screw the masquerade group, have the Second Inquisition come about, and think you're hidden.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a myth. But the Sabbat have ever said, in fact, it's an acting rule that they use. If a hunter comes for you, all the Sabbat come for the hunters. And they don't mince words about it. If they're going to come out and come over the top, you are the apex predators, and they'll prove it. But what happens when that's the case? So basically, if you look at it from a V5 standpoint, Second Inquisition is supposed to be the super feared thing.
Mm-hmm.
Mike's saying, we know we're going to get day-rated left and right if we agree to that Sabbat game. That's an expectation he has.
Okay.
I'm not saying you will or you won't. That's going to be based on how you build your pack, how you guys decide to move and groove, what goes on. A lot's going to go into it, but that might be a reality. Because you got to remember, the Camarilla has a huge weapon, and that's the Second Inquisition. If they're hidden, it becomes that much easier for the Sabbat to draw attention as they send hunters right after them, which is a tactic used since the Anarch Revolt. So it's a thing to think about. Day raiding is a possibility. If you're on that side of the fence, but that's what we're trying to hash out here at this Sesh Zero. Now, while they're thinking, folks, and anybody here, per normal rules we have, just raise your hand if you need attention, cut me off, whatever. But what I want to explain, for those folks just watching to play along, we wanted to record a Session Zero to show you how we do. It's a lot of brainstorming. It's a lot of wants. It's a lot of does this work? Does this not work? Do we want to build onto that? Do we not? Mm-hmm. And any game should do this because those who are going to be part of the game, it's their opinion. Some, we're going to discuss rules, what's going to be involved in there, what we're going to take out, what we're going to replace it with. So for you diehard fanatics that think a rule book is the only way to go about it and everything that rule book needs to be there, for the most part, you'll be met. However, there are some things we're just not going to deal with because either they don't fit or it hasn't been written yet, especially if you decide to do the Sabbat that hasn't been released yet.
I want to add I'll call it personal bias. That seems fair. I think part of what attracts me to the idea of playing the Sabbat is that it was big and noticeable and noteworthy that they were absent, right? Like we could see it. Like, turn the pages. Where are my guys? Mm-hmm. And I'm very excited by the possibility that we might get to play people who have a firsthand perspective of how that came to be in the V5 setting. Maybe we aren't that old. Maybe we weren't there as all of the events transpired. Maybe we were. But to see how a sect that used to be the boogeyman is now reduced to myth and afterthought from the perspective of vampires who were present, that's the hair standing up on the back of my neck.
Okay. So you don't want to play like Sabbat that were there when like what do they call it, the Gehenna War, when that started up and they didn't.
Yeah, the Gehenna War.
Or because if we're not going,
I don't know what you want, Brennan. Brennan, stop breaking him down. I want to know what you want. Right, that's what this is about. It's about what you want as player. You keep trying to be ST out of ST here.
Okay, all right. I'm just seeking understanding.
You seek to be a player. Right now, we're at the what would you like stage. We hear what Mike likes, and right now, it's a power play. No one else got anything to put up.
I mean, I'm completely down with it. From what I'm hearing, it's Sabbat on the run. Like, you want first-hand perspective of what happens in the aftermath, I'm down with it. This is probably going to be one session or 20 sessions, but one way or another, we'll figure it out. I'm prepared to die.
I would like more than one session. I will tell you that.
Make smart choices then.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Don't F up.
I can roll with Sabbat Burn Notice or Vampire Burn Notice. That would be awesome. So I can go with that.
I'm just saying, I'm all about putting it to the La Sombra because as far as I'm concerned, we got a whole clan of bootlickers out there that got Sabbat secrets that I ain't about. So that's where I'm going.
That's a good point.
I like it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
A Retribution pack is awesome. Oh, I think we might.
I love it.
We can have a name there. There's a name in there. All right. Sorry, I almost slipped into ST mode again. I'm gonna sit down here. I'm gonna
You're
drink.
fine.
my
You
drink.
can talk. I'm just helping you, making sure your voice is heard. That's it.
Yeah.
So we're like an idea of Sabbat. Great, I like it, and it's been put in, and we're hunting La Sombra. So there are options. There is DC to consider.
Yes. Yes.
How deep you want to go? How far you want to go into this?
Man.
There's a lot to do, right? DC is kind of a shit show. We know that, but very rarely talked about. It's just sort of hand wave how that flooded over and how that'd be done. But if you rather would not do that,
No, don't you dare back away from that topic. I'm
not backing away, but just hear me out. Hear me out. You
Yeah.
said you didn't want this to be one session and done. Let's look at the problems of DC. Washington, D.C., the halls of power are there. That masquerade's all time important, right? That was the whole point of a prince masquerading there, right? That was the whole idea. Tight fist, tyranny, don't screw up, or else. And it had to be that way because you had some of the FBI, CIA heads, whatever, they find out vampires are real. Well, you get the Second Inquisition. Well, what does it become when you already have it? Right? And then something happens. Well, that becomes dicey. Not a whole lot of wiggle room there, or the expectation of it. So let's just look at it to a theme. That would be high pressure. We'll call that just to make it up, because it's pressure either way you look at it, and that's playing for keeps. So you wouldn't necessarily be in control hunting down those who are hiding there, because you're there hunting a specific lineage, right? Is what it would be, and it's assumed, right? Because and also from the Sabbat perspective, you're going by a lot of rumor. That's the Camarilla side Archon level that knows the secret about Vitel, right? That came out and they knew what's what, and that's that. It's every fan knows about it. You read about it, and that's fine. But what does the Sabbat know? Probably jack, rumors, who knows? But if you're up there to investigate a rumor and you're in DC, what else is there to do? And of course, we could fill that out, but maybe not. That's more of a mystery hunt to a rumor to confirm, and we'll see what that is. If you want that, I got you. However, you're looking at Chicago. That's open La Sombra, almost on a turnstile coming into the Jewel to quickly take a knee, offer accolades to be accepted. Join the Jewel here because that's what Chicago's become. And that's what it is. You can go overseas. You could force me to talk with a British accent and see how I do. And we could just jump over there. and see what goes on. Give it a go. And it's possible. But do remember, the call is a thing. How much of it? Well, you're the player character, so we won't say you're affected, but we do know that clears a lot of things off the board that were once in the way, depending on where you go. And that's the thing to remember. And we'll discuss a bit about what that might look like based on what city you would like to hear this tale pick up at.
What if, and don't hate me, for the, what if we're nomadic? And I say that in the sense of, Sabbat used to be all over the place. Maybe they still are. We don't know well. But if we're hunting, what if the idea is that we find ourselves on the road, and by some means or whatever means we get a whisper or a rumor about this La Sombra in that town, and we all.
I was about to say, I'm thinking about receiving dead drops of where our targets are, right? So we could play relatively new characters. It doesn't matter, right? Relatively new in the sense of like, we know the Sabbat's gone. We know that there's traders out there. We want to make our name big. We're Hit Squad. And it's like, all right, well, you want to make it big. We don't know who's sending us messages unless we do, right? It tells us like, here's your target. Good luck. Have fun.
I'm with it.
I think it would be.
Especially because if there are any La Sombra left in the Sabbat, they got something to prove, in my opinion.
I think it makes sense that the La Sombra would still be around, because you got to have that. It now creates more conflict within the sect. One sect completely splits off. Well, the guys that stayed are like, what the hell, guys? And now they have that much more to prove. The La Sombra have always been one of the one of the clans that have always like been at the top. And Why would they abandon that post? They have all that power up there, and now they're gone. I don't think it makes any. I don't think it's to be expected that all the Lasombra left. Just some of them. Just like when you play in V20.
But let's shorten this. We're not podcasting, right? So let's look at that. So if you want to hunt down some Lasombra, that's a good vote, and that's what we're looking at. We're trying to build this chronicle here. So if that's what you want to be about that, great. And that's what I'm hearing. I hear you want to do dead drops. I hear you want to hunt something. You want to have job assignments. You want to be nomadic. It sounds like you want to be Black Hand.
Yeah, that's what I heard too when DJ was talking about dead drops. And
Now,
I'll be honest.
Let's look at the problem with that. And maybe we'll call it an obstacle. What's the reason behind the Black Hand keeping a cell of hardened killers here when they're needed in the Middle East?
It's hard to answer without knowing the details of why they're needed in the Middle East.
Right? Well, that's what I'm saying. We're here to discuss that very fact. So look at what the Sabbat had to do. And in our eyes, by all accounts, the call's answered. Elders have to go march and what have you. We can look at this as in a couple ways. It could be a bit of demagoguery and put up or shut up time. Some elder gets called away, his pack goes with when they ask why, and that happens to be a cardinal. It's something I haven't felt in a long time has awoken, and I have to go see this through. All right, they have a heart-to-heart with that pack. That pack says what's going on. Do you think for a moment that an asset like an elder in the Sabbat up and walking away is tolerated? In a sect that has vernaculums, in a sect that has the Black Hand watching key assets and what goes on. No, what you have is a small contingent that's marching over there to see what's what. What if they got wiped out? Right, who knows? What if they went over there and the intel out is don't come? Right, it's not what and that's it. And that's what gets out. We don't know what doom and gloom got out there. We get to dictate what that is. Mm-hmm. But we can do that. We get an understanding out again to kind of piece together, because the canon's not out. And personally, I don't care what the canon is. We're making this what we want to go through, we see happening. So let's do that. So in this case, I like to akin this to where the call's legit. Something did that, and it pulled them away, but they're calling it marching orders. They feel the apocalypse is now. In another world, a new beginning. Why? The Second Inquisition marshaled up, started killing people. Vienna goes down. All this is happening as far as they're concerned. And for the Sabbat, we warned you this day was coming. Now it's here. And now we don't care what side of the faction you're on. If you're not Sabbat, you're meat. And we're going to go handle the threat where it arisen, wherever it is. And they're going to handle that. But we're talking war. War is intel. War is targeted assets. War is, they know how to do this. The problem, they're going over where the Banu Hakim have ruled for quite some time. Not just the Banu Hakim, right? You have Alamut that sat there as well. They're not going to tolerate people coming in to invade. And a vampiric army is open warfare. Do you think the Sabbat's aware of that?
I'm sure somebody was.
They have to be. I mean, you got elder Assamites at the top of the Black Hand. We know somebody is.
Right. Well, we often think from American-centric, South American, and Mexico when we think of the Sabbat, right? Because of the stronghold and whatnot. But we forget there's Sabbat in Europe.
Mm-hmm. That's where it started, right?
Right.
They're not going to leave like the ground zero.
They've been fighting a quiet war over there for some time. And you have some Sabbat that don't even seem like Sabbat anymore. In case in Scandinavia, they have Sabbat that are, I believe it is in Sweden straight up, that are hanging out there and believe in protecting the masquerade. It's been one of their key investments to keep it hidden and establishing loyalty. And they hunt the Camarilla where it's needed, when it's needed. But they have a tent of peace there as well. And they're very, very rich, lucratively so, by doing so, right where they're at. And so keeping it clean. Would they flip? Did they just turn Camarilla? Do they stay Sabbat? Is that a key indicator of how the Sabbat's getting over there? These guys are paving the way with money, giving them drops and areas to live, places to be, helping them out, opening doors. This is how the EU do it. How does that work? You had the UK defect, right? And then, they did the Brexit. Wait a minute, that's moral politics, but in a world of darkness, how do we know that's just not enter the Mithraic cult? And that was another step to his sovereignty and his comeback. Like, that dude ain't hidden. We can agree to that. Mithras ain't hidden by sight.
Nah.
Like, that guy all over the place, sloppy. Cults and everything, right? The least hidden religion, vampire religion come around is that guy. Why? Welcome to the downfall of being a legend known for centuries and conquest, okay? The moment he farted, someone knew the smell, is all I'm saying, right? That's how that goes. But that's something to consider. And what does that look like? And we're just looking in this madness of what this might be. I can handle that detail. But what I'm looking is feel. If you guys are looking to be soldiers dropped into the mix, you're looking for a feel of being frontline, or do you want to be behind the scenes where stuff is explained? Important targets, this is who you're going after because of X. This happened because of Y. And we need you to see that this happens or this fails. Or are you looking for what I would like to call typical Black Hand play? We need this place, but this person's in the way. We dispatch this cell to go take care of it. Or this command, if you will.
Personally, I prefer to have stuff explained to me because that's part of the reason why I want to play this approach. Right? But I've been talking
I
about
agree.
Leave it at that.
Because you feel there's more story with that?
Yeah, I mean, the hooks are deeper and stronger, in my opinion, if you know why you're doing a thing. We've all seen the movies and enjoyed the movies where it's like you go pick up the box has a picture and some words and a location, and you follow up, right? But you get more of an appreciation for your protagonist when later in the film you find out why, whether they were being manipulated or whether everything they've done has been for no reason. That's
my argument. So if you're looking to know what's going on, you're not Black Hand. So to know what the Black Hand are, and we know this to be true, they're more than just assassins and the best fighters in the sect. Everyone knows that on rumor. Don't mess with the crescent symbol. Those guys can kill you. You and your whole pack, just him, by rumor alone. Right? They die in the hill for that. What you don't know is they're also a religion on the inside of the sect as well. Another sub-religion of the true purpose. That being said, religious fanatics don't ask questions. I didn't bring DJ into the Black Hand to start asking me why. That doesn't work for me. He's a soldier. I will tell him what we're about. I'll explain a stone. I'll explain Zilla's tears. I'll explain him the true purpose of Cain and why the antediluvians have to go. I'll do all that. Everything to fuel his fanaticism and his purpose, his holy righteousness that he needs to keep with him. And then I do start assigning his column because I put him in charge. Here's the orders for this place. You know we're here to take out Cleveland for whatever reason. Finally, the Insane Clown Posse has to go. We know a show's going to be here. It's up to you to take out Shaggy 2 Dope or whatever you're going to do. For whatever reason that you wanted to do something like that. And they hand it to him. Now, I guarantee you, DJ wants to know, are you serious? Why the hell are we, what? You don't get to ask questions in the Black Hand. It is for you to do. However, those are assassin-like, right? Fanatic cult feel. You're looking to be more like police, where you do have to answer questions because you could step wrong and mess a whole lot of things up, maybe see where it's going and why. Well, there's never any talk about the Inquisition. But they're more of the police inside of the Sabbat. And you haven't heard anything about what they would do with the Sabbat moving forward and what that agenda changes. You go from being the internal police, making sure there's no heresy and all that, and hunting down infernalism. What happens when, for instance, you don't think the Loyalist faction said, yeah, let's go and answer the call and hunt elders, do you?
No.
Not if they had a choice.
Loyalists have always been about, hey, this is us. We're here. But we're going to go do our own thing. I don't see a large Loyalist faction going to the Gehenna War.
But how does the Inquisition see that?
Heresy, cowardice.
Heresy. Absolutely. Because you're now leaving with Sabbat secrets you think they get to?
No.
Right? And what do you think the Loyalists are going to say? Bring it. Right?
Yeah.
We're the young. We're the most populous now. You think you status quo moderate types are going to tell us what and how? I guess we're going to figure that out. And welcome to another civil war before this is not even a civil war. It's just an outright, they're leaving and declaring their own sovereignty. They're going to be themselves. And that's that. That's how I see it. It makes the most sense, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, the Venturianti and the Pander movement almost did that on their own.
Loyalists right. as insurgents from within.
However, what's interesting is that the La Sombra pulled a cool ploy, gave them a purpose and a reason to be there, and they enjoy their aspect and the standing they have in the Sabbat, at least prior to what goes on in V5, whenever that'll be. but there are still typical loyalists at it all the time. Now, loyalists sound like anarchists to me. I don't know about y'all.
Yeah.
Even when you look at the anarch book for V5, you read some stories where they straight up seem like Sabbat.
Mm-hmm.
It's just how they roll out. And so there's some evidence there that that's what it is. Why? You could use the excuse, what, you never seen some violent anarchs before? I'll just tell you my version. In my opinion, anarchs still retain their humanity. They have no other choice. They don't have these dark citadels to go to teach them other ways of codify and embracing what being a predator is as a vampire. They don't have that. They have just them working a 9 to 5 and how they don't have to do that anymore. But if they want money, someone they know has got to do it. And that's, that it's more gritty when you play an anarch. It's more real for them. So freedom comes at a cost, and that's adapting to life. And when you have somebody come along that says, I love Diablerie, it's delicious and it's great. And other anarchs are like, are you serious? Like, yeah, I'll eat you too if you don't like it. Where'd you get that idea from? Where did that person come from? Oh, well, no one knows, and no one has the balls to ask her or that group or that, what's that revolutionary council like? Well, seems they burned half the city again. Yeah, why'd they do it? I don't know. They got together, had some bonfire, talked about it over s'mores, killed some ghouls, and then just ripped through the police and had half the town. And then you have anarchists in L.A. Who the hell does that? Like, don't they realize they still got to live there? Why would you do that? Right? The only thing that makes sense to me, you're the new anarchs, right? You're that new influx that came in. Yeah, we're loyal to the anarch cause, snicker, inside joke. Oh, use the term loyal as in ist? As in loyalist? Okay, we know where you're from. Good job. Right? And we'll leave it at that. But to me, I like to call it the reason why people can play Zamis now. Right? It's okay for here. And but I digress. We can do this. You don't have to be Inquisition or Black Hand. I think that would be an added stress. Mm-hmm. But what you guys choose to do for individual thought as to what you want to do. This is supposed to be, if you have the sect moving in that direction, their orders are pretty much preordained. Like you gotta, in a way, the call says, well, were you really going to go kill the elders or what? Like, was this all for naught? And it's, you got to answer it.
Yeah.
Right? For some, you got to go. And that's going to change the sex somewhat. So if they're beating drums to go, we got to understand that they're going to play it smart too, right? So what would that look like? I want you to imagine a Priscite council getting together. And often they're considered neutral, off to the side. They're advisors. And they're advising a would-be regent, by the way. We know Melinda Galbraith got what new region goes up there, and I like the idea of it being Polonia. Why? Because if we're marching to war, I choose Cardinal Polonia. I don't choose Cardinal Sasha, Micah, I'm confused Vikos. We don't do that. You know why? Because as an angel of Cain and jumping back and forth, death in the soul, metamorphosis, we don't know. That character to me is nigh untrustworthy. Ever in it for themselves. Where is that loyalty coming from? However, a Priscite council would know that Vikos is very powerful.
Mm-hmm. He's
right. It doesn't matter
for a reason, right?
It doesn't, from Constantinople, been there, knows what it's about. We know that, they know that, and he's someone of a danger, likes to operate on its own, and carries that lethality with it. But at the same time, loyalty is not assured. In a time when if we're going to war, we need loyalty. Mm-hmm. We need a bit of blind fanaticism. We need a soldier. We need a general. We need someone who can work the troops. And so the Priscite Council would see Polonia, who's expendable. Why? He was supposed to take New York, and he did. Right? But then immediately got taken back and had to be dragged off the battlefield. Right? That's who I picked to run my Sabbat.
Yeah.
Let me get this straight. Theobel, Archons, Backblast, everyone taking a city. You were out there with your dyed-in-the-wool pack, and you guys are swinging so much, yay. You're laying it down in this battlefield. Have one come all. My blood's running now that I'm mad that I wasn't there to say, screw you, you're taking him out the battlefield. If you had Vinniculum, if you came out the ground, if you were shoveled at all in this sect, if True Sabbat's a part of you, you went to battle with him to prove one thing. Camarillus, punks. You want to take it, it's through our ashes. Why? Soldiers, son. That's how it's done. A soldier dies fighting on the hill. They don't get pulled off the battlefield. But some weak-ass punk said pull him off the battlefield. But you got to ask yourself why. They didn't just pull him off the battlefield, they promoted him. Right here
because if you let him stay out there, he's going to run some more of your Sabbat into that buzzsaw that only he will survive.
But it is. It's how the world as a general would. Our soldiers are here, and we've been playing this reserved, calculated takeover, black hand leading, we take over, black hand leading, we take over, and we're always leaving a city wide open for a reprisal that anyone military-minded could see. So when they took New York, he sat there and went, this isn't over. And when they came back, he was ready for the fight, where everybody else just thought it was old hat. And Cam plays the game well. This is why the two sects never quite won, right? They're playing a game of going back and forth because they know each other well. And that's how it's going to be. Except Poloni always had that something. And that something is he plays to win. Always has. Always will. Why? La Sombra. It's in his blood. It's in his nature to be ruthless. Remember, the sea people, that's their total destruction, right? If need be. And that's how it is. That's what that sect gravitates. That's a Sabbat hero. And what you need, if you're a manipulative elder who ordered to pull him off the battlefield, who the same elder refused to take the region title, to even be anywhere near it. The same elder who knew Melinda Galbraith was fake. The old one had died. The same elder who wouldn't step in to kill the new Melinda Galbraith himself or herself. Sat back comfortable in the Priskai Council to lead a sect it always has, to be that whisper in someone's ear because it does not take the target on itself. It did not live the centuries by being on the front line, but it needs a champion. And to me, that champion becomes Polonia quite easily. We're in a time of war. There's a call to be answered. We have to go. I have to go. Great. Region Polonia, please organize your troops. And don't give a reason why, because anybody can look and say, well, the La Sombra did defect. And what's Polonia going to say? Kill them. Add them to the menu. Do you think the whole clan's corrupt because some agreed to go? That's fine, but that's how the Camarilla think. If you're Sabbat, you proved it, and you're still here. And if you're not, you're a traitor, and we'll reclaim your blood soon. That's that. That, to me, is the face of the Sabbat, at least, a frontline perspective of those who have to go. Mm-hmm. There's those in the know who sit in the back and go, we can't just up and leave Mexico and abandon all our strongholds in places we were, because there's a lot that don't feel that pull. But we will be left with the responsibility of keeping these strongholds, now handling loose ends that maybe we couldn't do with that blood there, and moving on. And I'm telling you this whole story to give you ideas of what that could mean, because imagine you're a bishop without an archbishop who just took off, and you're a bishop maybe 150 years old. And now that 200-year-old, 400-year-old anarch since the beginning turned Sabbat archbishop isn't here, but it's left to you to hold down a bigger portion of the city. But you didn't get promoted. It's left to you and the other bishops to get along and hold the sect here to provide resources overseas, to make sure you don't get taken over here. Right? It's like they're forcing you to calm it down, go underground, because you got to fuel the war. That's the other half of it, right? Anyone who studied World War II knows that most, what is it, the Nazis lost because they ran out of gas? It's one of my favorite dumbed down things. If they just had more fuel, right?
It wasn't in Africa and Russia they ran out of gas,
right? That's what happened. They ran out of gas. So you need resources, right? That's clearly what you need, and it's a war machine. Shadowed, hunt, be damned. That's what they're fighting in. So folks have to do that, but does it have to be you? Because to me, that's great. There's status quo people the same as there ever was. However, there's going to be people need to do stuff. Your enemies are still here. But where do you want that story told?
I mean, I'm an American. It's easier for me to relate, understand.
Yeah.
If it's in the States. Which part of the States don't make a whole lot of difference to me.
That's right. Mississippi would probably be easy mode, so let's not go there.
I hope you hear from someone from Mississippi.
I know, bring it. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm in the same boat as Mike. Something set in the States would be good for me. Well, which would be kind of weird, right? Because we talked about being in Sabbat strongholds. It's typically Canada or Mexico. There was, of course, the war across Dixie. It's a favorite setting of mine. So I'm just throwing that one out there. Atlanta could be a good one.
I was thinking Atlanta as well. DC mentioned earlier would be an interesting one.
DC sounds like the hardest of the hard modes to me. I don't believe for
absolutely.
a second Janice is gone. Not for a damn second.
Ah, heck no. I mean, they pretty much just never mind. Other podcasts have talked about it.
I'd be good with Atlanta, honestly. That sounds like it could be fun. But also, Chicago piqued my interest just because if we're hunting with Sombra, I couldn't think of a better place to do it. So,
Here's the uniqueness of Chicago, while I'll mention it. You all have the Chicago book,
That's true.
right? So that's a city already defined. I have no idea. I have no idea. I have no problem making a city to throw that in. It's pretty simple, right? Make that up, have it going, see what's going on. Problem you're going to run into is that as we're building threads and building what's there, your creativity is stifled when you don't have something to go off of, right? Because it's very easy. Let's be honest. We're all fans. So you read an entirety of what a city encompasses and what's there. You're able to go, I'm going to be this guy. Why? Because the slaughterhouses started in such and such year, and there's this tycoon at part of the slaughterhouses, but then they talk about this Nosbird, but don't fill it out. And I'm going to be attached to Khalid, except I didn't agree with his teachings and went a different way. But I'm still taking him as part of my mala because we still keep in contact. Because I think I can convince him to go feral heart. Or I can convince him to find a way to find peace, right? Things of that nature. And we'll talk about that. Path is possible, but we'll leave this for the moment there on the table as an idea. It could be something where the Lupines hit Chicago with force. And under Blood Red Moon, you heard left and right, if you remember that story, that it was the Sabbat and the Lupines who hit it. It wasn't just Lupines, right? There was targeted things they went at as well. And that's also a tale. And you never hear what the Sabbat did other than that. They came in, tried, and left, I guess. Does it have to be the end of it? No. There's a lot that you could do here. And would it be that you have the sect entirely backing you? Absolutely not, you don't. We're not trying to take over a city here. We're trying to handle the war that erupted over and calling our elders in, and that's what we're focused on. Does it mean that you can't be the ones that say we have our freedom and loyalty to choose? We're going to earn our name? You certainly could, and that would earn a name. Walk around playing whack-a-mole in Clan La Sombra won't be easy, but it's doable.
I like it. I like it. Where my target is, that's where I'll be. And you can put all the eggs in a basket of that. Known in Chicago, I have no problems with that.
I have no objections to that either. It's a city that some of us are quite familiar with from other games, so we have that creative. We have ideas of what we could do already in the city that we haven't been able to do in past things we've played.
So it seems easy. We can pull you guys back and forth.
Chicago's got my vote.
Well, another thing about it is it could always start off in Chicago, and then depending, we might just bring too much heat. We might not have to stay in Chicago too long, but I like it as a starting point and see where our story goes from there.
We did kind of start this idea out with nomadic and pack.
I hadn't thought of Atlanta, man, but now it's stuck in my ear. I can't get it out of my ear. Chicago's fine. I'm not gonna buck the trend.
No, I'm right with you, Mike. I also like Atlanta, but Chicago is I like both. But I'm gonna go with the vote for Chicago.
I was gonna say we're flipping quarters here. So we're gonna be here. We're gonna be here. We're gonna be here. We're gonna be here. All right. Regardless, I heard nomadic packs thrown out. Right. So, and as far as I'm considering, that's 4 people saying Chicago, 5 tentatively, meaning actually he's the one who says so. That's 5 people unanimous. Good. It's Chicago. We're gonna do it there.
Cool.
We'll start there, and we'll see what that develops from and places in. The themes of Chicago obviously going to be different because they're different for you.
Right.
So for that, we also know that you guys are here to vengeance is part of what you're looking to accomplish, right? La Sombra headhunting is a thing, and your pack's looking to cash in. So that's easily done. You guys are accepting the fact, or are you looking for the fact? Was it a want that you wanted to battle the Second Inquisition as well?
Not really. Not for me, anyway. I threw that out there because it's interesting. It's interesting to be under more pressure than I usually hear from other sources. Right? Normally when you are the Sabbat, you are the villain. And I threw that out there because it might have been different to find yourself on the back foot. But if we're in a Camarilla City hunting La Sombra traitors, I think that's plenty of back foot without making the Second Inquisition be front and center in the story.
I would like the Second Inquisition to be a large part of it because that's
With
one of
Brennan
the
on that.
most entertaining things about that V5's introduced to me. Like I think vampires as a whole should be a bit on like the back heel because the thing people have always talked about has happened. Humans know about us now. Like we've got the Five Eyes alliance now working with the Vatican. Like that's a big thing that is a big source of entertainment in my mind, and I do want represented in some way, even if it's not like the main focus of it, right?
I'm pretty sure as players that's going to happen no matter what. So
Yeah.
Naturally.
Brendan's going to
question
make this a one session. We're going to be done in one session with Brendan.
Now,
It's just,
why am I the one that's going to make this a one session game? Come on
you
now.
put it out there. You want to manifest it. It's going to happen session 1. It's like we wake up staked. All right.
What
Well,
I'm a
GG's everyone.
manifest is us being awesome and getting through it. How about that? Can I manifest that?
Well, yeah, you can.
Okay,
we
there
hope
we go.
so. I'm not sure I trust you, but yeah, we'll do it.
Thus spoketh Brendan. Oh,
Hey,
if you
hey,
don't
we're a
trust me,
pack
this is
here.
gonna
There
be a
has to
short
be
game.
trust.
Come on, DJ.
All right. So we got a lot there dug in. So the themes are basically like violence, headhunting, modern war from a vampiric side, which, it's not bombs dropping, tanks rolling through, but it definitely can feel like that, depending on what it's going to be night to night for you. Why I keep saying for you? It's it's going to be entirely based on how you build your crew, as it said, right? That's open and shut. I really need to beat that drum any more than that.
Mm-hmm.
Being nomadic also comes with its own challenge as well. You're outsiders coming in. That's what being nomadic is. And you're looking for a staging ground off the bat. I'm going to tell you there won't be. That's the advantage. This is the city for the Camarilla, which means they have it on lockdown. Right? There's only one aspect you guys are going to be coming from, and I will pick the suburb, but it will be a suburb that you're sitting on the outside trying to go from there and make something of it. What you're going to have here is aspects that you could choose to build it as nomads, to build it up, to turn into something, to move forward, trying things out, or out and out, just this is where you're going to do hits from and where you're going to retreat back to. There's things to think about. So what clans don't you want to see that you guys would be playing? We'll start there.
What clans don't?
Yep.
There's not really one
I'm
clan.
not sure. Go ahead.
I'm going to say there's not one that I want to exclude.
Yeah, I'm not sure I understand the question. How do you mean, Bob?
Excluded clans. Everybody wants to, typically folks go, what can I play? And I'm like, yeah, interesting. I'd rather hear what you don't want to play with as players.
Well, I personally won't be touching anything in the V5 companion because I haven't had a chance to dive into it at all. But that's just me. I don't care if anyone in the group decides to play one of them. I just will have to figure out, okay, now I got to establish my opinion of you.
Yeah, I'm not really interested in seeing any Venture. That might be.
Oh,
personal.
I see.
I don't want to deal with any Venture. It's personal, but it's true.
No Venture Annie. Okay.
Okay. That's it? No Venture Annie?
Apparently that's it.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine. I don't like. It's not like I don't want to see like any of the clans. I don't know.
Okay, so let me nudge you a bit. Anybody feel like playing Ministry?
Oh, man. Serpent of the Light is not Ministry, but Serpent of the Light could be.
You need to think about that a bit.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah, because you got to tell me a story. How do you see the Serpent of the Light surviving when V5 goes up to Ministry? What has been their whole thing? Using the Sabbat to wipe out their clan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they haven't got it done.
Yeah.
Right?
That does
Now
seem like a pipe
they're
dream.
warring in Haiti with the Semitic. That's where they were at. That's what they were doing, fighting for control. And you don't hear what happens there. So I want your opinion. How do you see the Serpent of the Light being able to hold it down and having remnants still floating around the Sabbat to be effective? You certainly can. Who doesn't like the story of the random Lamia that survived Dark Ages to now be playable as a neonate now in the, right? To me, how many chapters do we have to add on to your background before you get to play the game? That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
I
want minimum padding with characters coming in because I think that's just going to add unneeded complication. So no Serpents of the Light. I honestly don't want any Assamites because my read of it is that most of the Assamites would have left to join Element anyway? Why would you have stayed in the Sabbat when Suge Knight came up?
I like this. You know why? If only because you literally blocked out Mike. So it was perfect. It was like, oh, we get rid of entry, no problem. I handicap other side.
Yeah.
Click, draft.
So I asked, but I can help you out with that, is because the whole of Assamite are not loyalists, right? Look at the Banu Hakim and understand them and read them. There's a reason they have multifacets, right, that go into that. There's a reason you had Assamites that were schismatic and didn't agree with Urshulgi being up in the first place. And there's a reason Tigirius marries into the Camarilla by taking Victoria Ash as his bride to make that union. It's because there is a war in the east, and the Sabbat did march over there, and they need that help in the basically shore up those borders. That's clear as the nose in your face as to why that happened. However, they're cutting out what Alament's going to do in reprisal. They haven't wrote that story yet. If they're even going to get into it, I will. I promise you. Betrayal to the mountain is not forgiven. It's that simple. You had an option. Shuggy woke up. It was return and reclaim what is ours. Because had you done your job, the world would not become what it was, what it is now. But you have failed. You have failed to do it, and you didn't obey. Those loyal come home. Those who don't, welcome to being hunted. I'll tell you, I know who does go back, and it's Al-Ashrad. Tigirius is the traitor. Those who stake with Banu Hakim, those are the traitor, and they better have them some Jesus. Because that clan throws hands. It's that simple. And that's how I see it. But I understand they're not in Sabbat. I understand it completely because they wouldn't be. We're not fighting your war. We're called home.
Right.
But does that mean all Assamite tribute are loyalists? Were they raised in the path of blood? No. In fact, doing your homework, most Assamite tribute were trained differently on purpose. The clan needed a place to hide these warriors that came over, right? Because when they said you need to sign this treaty and sign up to have this blood restriction, they're the ones who are the unconquered. And the unconquered means something. We are not defeated. We refuse to shame Hakim's blood in that aspect. And they join into the Black Hand. And the understanding is you're not hunted. But they said, we only join you, but we preserve our ways. We'll help train your soldiers, but they will never be what we are. And that's what they did, which is why call goes out, things go up. The Assamite antes, their upper echelons disappeared. Those who were always in the path of blood returned home. It's that simple. However, it doesn't mean that the white guy from Jersey who got to be Assamite ante because he had one hell of a right hook and learned what it was to have some honor and was taught these different ways, it didn't happen. They did have a ritualistic different process to train them too, to help them go on. That's doable. However, what I'm hearing, if we're not Black Hand, we don't want some Venture Andy nonsense in here. We don't want some Assamite Andy nonsense in here because Brennan don't like it, and that's what's important. So why I'm informing you is because there's definitely some Assamite shenanigans. We just don't want to be about it. So let it be recorded here. Boom, shelf. We're not about it. To Mike's chagrin. French Urani pulled off the table. No problem.
So good. No salubri. I'm just throwing that out there.
Boom. We're getting rid of them too.
All right. So, I mean, okay. All right.
I don't need Brennan shedding tears and wanting to help out everyone in this pack because
No,
the
hey,
didn't get
look,
run over.
if I'm playing a Salubri in this, it is the Salubri ante. It's the Furies, not the Samaritans. Well, I forget what their nickname is. The not evil, not
the Samaritans.
Yeah, you know what I say it. You know what I mean.
Samaritan? Is that the word you were looking for?
What?
Samaritan?
There'll be no helping a grandmother put her groceries in the back.
Yeah.
All right,
See?
so be it.
That's
Recorded.
fair enough.
That one's also gone.
Okay.
All right, we'll just keep it going. Venture, no. Salubri Andy, no. Ministry,
It's 4. If I can count.
we have
No cats.
no cats.
Hey.
Michelli, I'm looking at you. By the way, I'm getting this out now. I feel like you lied to me. You've never once corrected me with your last name so far.
I've only done it to like 1 or 2 people in the community, and then everyone else, I was like, you know what? I don't care.
Okay. All right.
I just had to say it for the 2-3 family members I got listening, going, hey, it's Michelli. I'm like, I don't care.
Michelli, do you have a clan you don't want in here?
You know what? I'm gonna say Ravno. I've got some sore spots on Ravno, and I've seen what they can do. I'm good.
If everyone's wondering what I'm doing, I'm also because by the clans you mentioned, I'm also getting an idea of what you don't want to see in game theme-wise.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's becoming clear. right? That's what I'm doing. So for any STs watching, yes, it's a dirty trick. You get them to say what they don't want in the game. You get to understand what they're not looking for as well.
Mm-hmm.
Bernoggle, do you have one that you don't want? It's your time to...
No, yeah, totally understand. Like it's just, I have a hard time like trying, because like now it's like, I feel like we've taken a lot off the table already. I don't know what else I could take off. You know what I mean? Like I don't
Listen,
have,
there's like 13 clans. You can cut whichever one you want.
Well, yeah, I can just keep cutting. Like I don't want to see any Nosferatu. Like, you know, like I can just throw one out there for the sake of it, but I don't really care. Like it's just...
You could, and you don't have to care. Like this is literally this can stop right here, and you guys should just make whatever, because the next phase comes. How does this connect? Right. The benefit being the Sabbat, it doesn't really matter what your clan is, right? It's almost secondary to anything formation of the pack anyway, or your reason for being in the Sabbat. Why I care, Banes. Why I care is role play style, what you like role playing with. Some people can't stand role playing with Malkavians. That's just this is not what they play with. Let me just let that up front and get it done. Right? Some people don't like the disrupting aspects of Ravno, and that's why they, throw that out there. Some people don't have to stop and wonder whether or not the Salubri is going to get caught by a Tremere and blah, blah, blah. Some folks don't like Tremere. That's what we're doing. We're giving you a chance to throw that out there without that being a stink eye later on when someone goes through the trouble of making an entire character ground up and you're like, I can't stand that clan. And then I'm going to go, we were talking about it.
You missed your veto.
Now I get it a little better now. And yeah, I mean, most of the time I'd be like, yeah, maybe I don't want Malkavians because I don't want to risk that. But I trust everybody in this room to, like, if they were to build a Malkavian or any of those characters, like, it wouldn't be problematic. Because I do really not, for the most part, I don't enjoy playing with Malkavians. But I've seen everybody in this room, I think, play, like, a good version of that, Like, I just trust everybody.
I think you underestimate the kind of trouble my Bruja caused in season 1 of the Chicago by Night game.
I think progression is where we're going to stay.
Yeah.
Michelli, that's a yellow card. That's twice now you've taken us down the realm of other stories. We got to stay here. We're going to do it. Folks, I'm watching the time as we go on, and we got to be mindful of it, right? That's what it is to be recorded. So I'm teasing. So if we want to put this on pause, we can come back to it later on. Well, really, we're going to leave it done because I'm not. I feel now that we're stretching. If anybody really had a sore spot, it was mentioned already.
Right.
Yep.
You fair with that mention? Okay, cool. We'll roll through that. That being said, I don't care what clan you play. It's not off the table because we can make it work. We could write it in. That's the privilege we can do. Aside from that, now we're looking at Chronicle Tenets. Now we know why this is important, right? This is the established behaviors we want to see in-game or not in-game, right, that we want to hold to. It's kind of a V5 staple.
I feel like this will be the time then to bring up the question of paths. You said paths were possible, and like I feel like if any of us are on a path, all of us have to be on one.
So what's Chronicle Tenet? Chronicle encompasses everybody.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. Like,
but we're not, because you following a path would be personal. Right? We're not there yet.
All right.
So let's stick to what we want to see or not see. Not see is what I really care about. A behavior, right? And it could be something like, just to steal from the book, they have that humanist, thou shall not kill, is one of them, right? That will hold to that. That's an in-game and out-of-game one. We don't want to be with a bunch of homicidal killers running around with vampires that just don't give a damn about human life. Doesn't appeal. None of you want that, so it's not here. But you say it's going to be Sabbat, so let's look to that skew. What happens in the Sabbat that players do that either get your goat or you don't want to see happen or don't want to deal with, behavior-wise?
I think one of my biggest things for Sabbat and what, like, I've just learned now playing over the last year or so, I would really like to see, like, though we are Sabbat, like, we still have, like, the respect for the masquerade to some degree. Like, we're not completely crazy.
So you have, like, a survival instinct? Don't leave a trail? Like,
I was about to say, like, survival at all costs, maybe, or survival at any cost, even if it means we have to keep our heads down.
Right. Like,
Because what we don't want to do, I think we could agree to that, is we just want to turn the city upside down. We're there with a specific mission. We're not there to be murder hobos and just like, hey, let's flip cars and ruin the masquerade to that degree. We literally have targets to take care of. This isn't about putting on a show.
Well, there's strategy to discuss.
Doesn't
right?
that tenant give us like basically a second masquerade? Don't we have a second masquerade of our own? Because we don't want people to know that we're the Sabbat if we're coming into the city.
Sounds a little head in the sand, but I put it down. It's your game.
Okay,
that's what's there. I'll give this argument, leave it on the table. How the hell are you going to tell me you want to go in the city and hunt La Sombra and burn it down and deal with it, and we're at war, got a whole sect at war, and you guys want to hide?
Well, I mean, separate from hiding, like part of the Sabbat, like part of the ethos is we're gonna go further than anybody else will go. Right? We are on task because we are willing to go as far as necessary to finish. Right? Now, that doesn't mean you create a charnel house everywhere you go, but if it's a chronicle tenant, it's a thing that we are just not willing to do, period. Right?
Exactly.
There's a problem having a line like that in a sect like this. If I have to decide between breaking the masquerade, where I know a traffic camera is about to watch me jump off the roof of one SUV and dive through the windshield of another, like I have to be willing to do that without thinking about it, because I have a goal, right? Once it's time to go, and so if one of our go ahead,
that's totally fair. I get what you're saying. Like if it ever came down to it, obviously, like I think it was more like what DJ was saying then, where survival should be our number one. Like,
yeah, but I mean, even if it's, it can't be that high of a priority because of who we are. It can't be.
Well, if I understand this correctly, Ronaldo, this comes from a place of you're looking to last. Is that what it is? Like, what about the masquerade not being preserved or whatever bothers you, or that you put up?
Basically, so it's not that like I want to preserve the masquerade as much as like everything has its limits, right? Like there's ways that we can do things like to get things done without like, you know, amplifying our blood up to 10 and, you know, ripping the building down and everyone's filming us and the Second Inquisition comes out. You know what I mean?
So it sounds like another way you're saying maturity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or put another way, you're looking for maturity. You're not looking for a beer and pretzels game. You're looking for an understanding of the elements of what's here and what everybody's playing and how this would logically, possibly, I say logic loosely in fiction, would get done, right? That seems to be it. Does that suit better, Mike, knowing that that's what he means by it?
Yeah, I dig it in principle. I'm just trying to think of how we capture that in a line, like a chronicle tenant, right?
Well, I'm writing them down, right? I'm literally going to put down there maturity, right? That's it, mature role play. What I mean by that is that sure, that scenario of you're diving from the rooftop to land through a front of a window to kill an escaping victim, but you know there's a camera there, but you got to get that victim. Could you have done it by shooting him? Right? That's mature role play. There was another way and easier. Mm-hmm. Right? But glory to you for diving through and looking like Achilles in the battlefield, except Achilles didn't have to deal with traffic cams. Right? That's what we're looking at. Does that take off style points? It could. In no way is it going to limit you either. I could put down here, don't break that, whatever, mature role play, and you decide that it's time to mimic Ronald McDonald and go on a feeding spree through Burger King because that was funny to you. That's great. That's your humanity loss. You know, your knocking of XP that might happen because it violates the tenants agreed to, right? That's what we're building here. So if we got one mature role play, everybody agrees to that?
100%.
Yep.
We'll define mature role play. How we're going to see this is that if ever there's something that somebody's doing and you don't understand it, before you're like, that seems really immature to me, what I want you to do is ask them why out of game. Can we agree to that?
Mm-hmm.
We can. Agreed.
Give them their day in court and hear them out, and then we'll go from there. And we'll let that be the determining factor if they go through with it or if they don't. And that way it's just fair. Same thing can happen to you, and we'll do with that. Mm-hmm. I refuse in the ST. I'll never do mature role play, so we'll go from there. Sometimes I like to be the hobo with the hand cannon, it's fun. But that's me. Let's get 2 more, or maybe just 1 more, depending on how we feel about it. Have we seen a behavior in a sabbat game that really gets in your nerves? Or something that happens in a role-play group you never really vocalize because you always go with the flow, and it always seems to come up as a problem, and it's an irritant?
I would like to capture the idea that we minimize our conflict in the pack. I know that's a grist for the mill in terms of like narrative and storytelling. I just personally get irritated if I have to argue with people who are supposed to be on my team, and it's probably because I started in D&D, right? And I can accept that weakness.
Don't defend it. Do me a favor. Don't defend it.
Sure. Yeah,
you're bringing up something that we could just make it make sense to see if people have a problem with it.
Yeah.
There's 5 of you. You're building a pack. Logic can dictate that whatever we choose to make, it's supposed to go with the theme and the tenets, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if we agree that we're here to play together, we're not betraying one another, and we're going to watch to make sure that what we play doesn't immediately conflict with somebody else. Mm-hmm. It's not that you can never have conflict, but Mike, you're not going to play an Aryan Brotherhood member that's embraced in a card-carrying member, and you're not going to play a Black Panther DJ and jump in with that heat already and decide that you're going to uphold those tenets because you feel that's still who you are on the sabbat. Because how the hell do they get in the pack, and how's that going to work out?
Yep.
Right? I'm using those 2 extremes to point out that that's what we're looking to avoid.
Okay. So one tenet would be like loyalty to the pack. Is that a good summation of that?
I really feel that this still goes down to mature roleplay.
I was thinking the same thing, but if we're calling it out separately, I don't mind being
right.
pedantic.
What does everybody else think? I still think that goes into mature roleplay. To play what gets along, that makes sense.
Well, so the reason I call it out separately is because I can make, and I've confronted this situation in character before. I can make a decision that I feel is honestly, truly independent of any other influences, what my character would do in response to a thing that might screw over a member of my pack. Maybe it just so happens that my vinculum rating wasn't high enough, and so the ST doesn't stop me. But Mike, as a player, knows that this is going to create friction, and it'll eventually get hard to tell whether the player is irritated that I did the
So
thing.
you're looking to tie the hands of everybody out of game. Like, we will never do something that's going to be going against us.
Or at least that we'll talk about it, right? That we will have a moment to debrief or explain, like you were talking about with the maturity.
Right. So this is mature role play again. So I agree with you. That's something to bring up, that you're looking to make sure that's ironclad, but it doesn't need to be a separate tenant, it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
That's still the ask why. I'm doing this. Mike, why is your guy doing that? And if we're being affected tonight, what's going on? Well, I talked to Bob. This is what we came up with. And this was, well, my guy has a sire to, okay. And you guys have a nice discussion. 2 adults talk it out, see the why. And once you understand why, it should be, fun to deal with, and that's that. Does that answer that a bit more, Mike? Or do you really directly just looking for, hey guys, it's a hard no, we don't oppose each other?
No. We can stick it in there under maturity. That's fine. Yeah.
All right. And so just to reiterate, have a reason. Conflict has a reason. That's how I like to see that. That said, let's maybe not focus on, unless anybody has something right now as another tenant, as a player base, do you have something ST base that you want to be a Chronicle tenant?
I think the only thing I see as a tenet is always see the job through, at least for the pack. If we're going to go in with it, then we all agree. Once we're given directions, that's exactly what we're going to follow through. And I think that'll be cool because I know that there will come that hard moment where we're like, do we really want to go through with it the entire way? And then that'll let us know whether or not that'll lay on our conscience individually as a pack when we all agreed that this is what we were going to go through with.
I like it.
I'm curious. Can you explain a little more how you mean ST based, Bob? Like what would be an example of a ST based Chronicle 10?
So
I'm not sure I understand.
Let's say you guys decide that you're going to, I don't know, leave the city game 1. It's great. Chicago looks good. It's golden. We're in Naperville, Illinois, and it's just outside of Chicago, or at least not that far away. We can get to it easy. You know what? I feel, guys, we should go to Vegas and wreck it. That's just too much. And I'm like, hey guys, as you're traveling from Naperville, you got to go through Chicago. And while you're there, you get involved in some stuff. A bishop calls you because they mysteriously need help. And turns out Vicos is in town and they thought you were going to be here and you need to be there to give support. And every one of you goes, I think we would have known that before this. Like, what are you doing right now? Right. And be fair. In other words, I will not plot hammer you. Right. No plot hammer. I need what you choose to do is what you do, free and clear. That's how it's done.
So things we would rather Bob not do to us.
I have a diversified skill set. There's many wily things I could do to get around stuff anyway.
I was about to say, I signed my waiver. I knew what was happening when I got on this ride.
This is what I'm beating around the bush with is also comes down to things you don't want to see.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want no romance in my sabbat game. Let's just throw that out. You guys haven't said that, but that's the thing you can throw up there.
Yeah,
right.
I haven't said that because it's not something I ever considered. The romance is not a plot I enjoy in tabletop because I don't see it as like particularly entertaining. So let's go ahead and throw that one up there.
Well, it's not. It's got to be approved by everybody. I mean, somebody might be like, I enjoy it.
All right, fine. I won't try and hit on anybody in NPC or player otherwise.
Okay. Let's talk what romance is, right? Is what's Gothic romance?
That Victorian favor.
We're online. Google it.
Okay.
Everyone rush to Google quick.
Any story character? Go ahead.
I was going to say top 6 results. Dracula's on there. I don't necessarily view Dracula as a romantic novel. So
I got technically a Gothic romance is any story characterized by the use of desolate or remote settings and macabre, mysterious, or violent incidents. So a Gothic novel doesn't have to include vampires or love affairs with damaged, tortured rich men. But a lot of them do anyway.
So tragedy is a part of Gothic romance. Spite, spurned love is part of romance. You could have someone who has a love of the city and feels that they've fallen out of it, and that's why they're burning it to the ground, because they were here at its inception. Things of that nature can be a part of it. It's the complete avoidance of having to deal with that emotion. Right? I don't just have to love in a sexual sense. I could love in other means. Also, pretty unrealistic, in my opinion, but it's okay. Right? I'm not saying it doesn't have to be there. That you tell me that you're making a full-bodied human, they have this power, and the concept of an attachment of an emotional need isn't there. You can look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We talk about mature role play. Mature role play is a 3-dimension to a character. It's a fully fleshed out character of likes and dislikes. Gender assignment is not a thing, but that's something to take into consideration, right? Especially when you're a vampire and it becomes a moot point. Right? I may have been hetero when it started, but I identified being more feminine because I came across a powerful elder that just showed me a different way. And that elder, we don't have sex, but we go feeding together. We sleep in the same bed at night because he has a freaking vault that's sealed shut. And he might be a mentor to teach me how to wield my shadows or how to meld flesh and how flesh isn't important anymore, or an evolutionary concept, or what we have is greater. You're asking to take a very important element and remove it. I'm okay with that if that's uncomfortable, but that's what I'm looking for. Am I a big proponent of it? You're damn right. That's half the reason I got involved in vampire games, period, is because that forces me to give a damn. It's an empathy point. The origins of why a villain or anyone does something to either save it, survive it, or usually horribly corrupts them in the process of pursuit ends up being a more viable interest overall.
Well, for me to put a finer point on the romance thing, I don't object to romance in the great big broad sense, but I do kind of get bored or irritated if we zoom in too much on something that to me reads like grade school level infatuation. Right? So capital R romance is fine But when I have to spend my time thinking about
We're going to
somebody,
keep talking about this because I'm loving it, because that's now we're back to mature role play.
To be fair, that's a really wide tenet. I feel like
It's
we're
not a
gonna keep
wide
going
tenet.
through this.
Mature role play brings you back to be an adult, right? That's it. Mature role play is take acknowledgement of all the themes, and that we're not going to run what's the term here? A sexual session that's there, or at least it doesn't have a reason, right? That's what we're signing up for, and what we're agreeing to. And it's not a huge broad category that's going to suck up all terms, because otherwise I'd nix it, right? That's not what it is. But another tenet could be, we're loyal to one another. Interesting. We will never betray each other can be a tenet that is separate from that mature role play, because it limits your behavior, right? It's a tenet you absolutely don't want to see you guys get betrayed by one another no matter what. That says out of game, no matter what happens in game, we hold to that tenet, and that's what it is. Because that would ruin the fun for you, right? That is separate from mature role play that way. What Mike was saying was different, because he didn't want to absolutely eliminate it, but he wanted to make sure we had it, and then we're back to the ambiguity, right? We're looking for a black and white. This is what I don't want to see. That's what we need to see.
well, I mean, with that being the caveat, like, man, just to like simplify it, could be 100% honest, Bob. I kind of trust you, man. Like, I don't think
I kind of trust you.
It's not about
But it
me.
is. But it is. If I was going to point out something like that, it would be because I was concerned that the ST is going to waste my time with like a flowery juvenile vampire who I don't care about.
Here's a simple thing, right, that you guys aren't thinking of. I'll help you. I will not do something that takes attention away from the pack. No individual side scenes, because we're a pack. That could be a tenet, right? That if I have a problem to go handle, I give the option for everybody to come along with, or I pull them along with me prior to me just running off to go do it.
No, I like that. I like that
did
because we could handle side scenes off camera and have something spicy, right, when we come back. But anytime we're together, yeah. I like that. I dig that one.
Does everybody agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, Goose.
I can agree to that.
Yep, I agree. We roll as a pack.
All right, so what we have here, we have mature role-playing, follow-through on pack choices, and pack scenes only. Right, involves, at least gives the option. I mean by pack scenes only, Bernogle, my character wouldn't really have an interest in where you guys are going, but he would wait in the car. Right, the bishop saying want to talk to you will be outside the door. Things like that. We support you being here. We're here in whatever capacity that means. But what we're not doing is, meanwhile, on the other side of the city for the next 2 hours, so-and-so is trying to do something, right? That's what we're avoiding. And I agree with that completely. That being said, let's talk about paths. Now, the cheat here is Cult of the Blood Gods open up the door on kind of making your own personal tenets and how you can attach them and follow through on being tenets in ST, and you agree on that your behaviors would dictate and still being loyal to the set cult, right? Their teachings or what have you. We could cheat because it's really easy to look at the path. Me and DJ were talking about this. It's really easy to look at the old school pass out of the revised stuff and or V20 book even, and just go, okay, so these three things are what I'm going to follow out of this path and slap in here, and that's what I'll hold to. And that'll dictate to it. And instead of being humanity, I have the book, you have the book. We know the behavior we're supposed to be lauding and seeing that comes out of it. And there's literally written in tenets for you to follow, but just those three, right? If you've heard me preach about past, you are not supposed to try to follow a scale hierarchy 1 through 10 in every freaking thing they throw in there to showcase you're on the path. It's better to narrow the focus anyway to just 3 because it helps you not only memorize it, but if you're doing those 3, you feel more like you are on a path anyway, following it through. In fact, that's because we're human beings and nobody here is a vampire. So let's get rid of the idea of like trying to be something else completely and stick with that if you guys want to. Otherwise, we can keep it humanity and call it a day. And that's what we're deciding.
I would prefer to have the option. I don't have a character concept yet, so I don't know if a path will be required. But I think that, you know, you cannot excise paths of enlightenment from the sabbat, conceptually. It's my opinion.
Okay.
I'd agree with Mike. I don't think limiting it to only humanity, it would be a very... I feel as though that waters down the sabbat experience. Now, not to say everyone has to be on it, right? Some people could be learning it. That's the role play you want to go through during this. That's fine. But I think the path of enlightenment should be an option.
So what we're going to do here then, touchstones change. Who said something? Was that you, Brennan?
Who said what?
I'm starting to talk, but go ahead.
Oh, you can talk. Go ahead. I didn't want to interrupt you.
Oh, I was just, I was going to say that, most of the appeal for the sabbat for me is that you play like that monstrous character. Like that's something that you, like, humanity always feels very like Camarilla and Anarch, but like with sabbat, it feels like you should be exploring like being a vampire. Like that's what sabbat's for, in my opinion, personally.
Okay. So it sounds like that's what we're doing, and we'll do that. We're going to give a unique caveat to that. Touchstones change, right? A humanity touchstone is going to be different than that on a path, but not all paths are going to have the same touchstone. So in this, it has to be unique, right? You're probably going to want an object or a place is what I'm going to limit it to you touchstone-wise when it comes to path. Most likely where you had your epiphany, of where you accepted your pathing for this, right? Or what have you. Whether it is a diary you kept between you and your mentor, but your mentor used your own blood in front of your mentor to write in this under the moonlight sky, to go back to Gothic romance and poke at it, to help you remember what it is to be on whatever it is you're choosing. Something to go by. But it's also cool with me if you choose Feral Heart, but a touchstone becomes Brookfield Zoo in Chicago. Right? It's not that your touchstones can't change, but you've spent a lot of time here. Being there is supposed to help you reaffirm what you are and what you're on. Right? That's the goal of a touchstone, the purpose. And that's what you're looking to do. And we'll do that. We'll make it unique to the pathing. If you need help deciding, go ahead and hook up with me. I'm happy to help brainstorm what it is. It's new to everybody, so there's no wrong answer. It's just we can make one the most logical for us to follow. And what we'll hold to. And that's awesome. Almost done here, since we have this rolling along. Now we're looking at coterie build. And I'm all about this, right? Actually, let me not skip ahead. Let's look at ambition and desire. This is still going to have a factor. I don't see any reason why in a sabbat game ambition and desire has to be thrown out of the window, right? Your ambitions and desires are going to be different, and they need to be. Now, remember, ambition is a long-term goal, right? It's something that should be accomplishable in-game, but it's not going to happen next session, whatever it is, right? If your goal is to eliminate all the Sombra in Chicago, valid. If your goal is to eliminate all the Sombra, we need to talk, right? It's really kind of, let's make that a little better, right? However, when it comes to your desire, we do need to make certain that we get that in, that every game session, we submit a desire that we want to fulfill. And it's okay if it wasn't fulfilled the session before, but this too must be attainable, right? The desire makes sure that you're on path, or on path is, I'm going to stop using that because we're using paths, but you're on track to stay active. We definitely want to be active, right? Because we want to make sure we get our time in. This is valuable. We're having fun. But we also want to make sure we're getting them XPs. This is the thing to do, right? We're staying in the know and being of it. That's what I'm looking for. Is to make sure that your head's in the game. It's a great tool for me to see that if your desire is the same one over and over and over and over, then we may need to touch base to really recodify what we have going on. Maybe that desire is too hard, or maybe you're losing a little bit of interest. We need to tweak it a little bit to see where your involvement is. Although knowing me, it's not going to happen. I might get hate mail from you, but I doubt it's going to be because you're not getting your desire fulfilled. And those are mentioned. So just a word for that. Any questions about those two things, what I'm expecting, or would you like to, you don't want to deal with ambitions and desires? I'm fine with that too. Now remember, the purpose of ambition and desire by the book is that fulfilling desire gets you a willpower back. Right? You do that and accomplish it at the end of the game, you'll get that. It's one of the ways to do it. Do I feel you need it? I'll be honest, I'm old school. I think if you're role-playing the concept to your character, I'll determine when you get your willpower back based on the role-play of your character. I should be able to see that. There are willful moments you can catch, very impassioned moments, victories for you, things where you had to dig deep to accomplish something, saving a pack mate, stuff that's important to you, time with your touchstone, a heart-to-heart, meaningful scene. These things, it's not going to be hard for me to understand, hey, are you missing willpower? So I think you got it back, right? That's easy enough. But if you like more of a hands-on and you like to know, I need to do my desire because it helps keep me on task, but also I got my butt whipped socially last game. I'd like to get a little bit of this back.
Mm-hmm.
We can do that too.
This might be weird, but like since we're really focusing as like one of the Chronicle tenets on being like that we move as a pack, could we decide on like a pack desire? Like, and this is our desire as a pack. So instead of like each player, like we are all discuss like between the week, like what our desire is. Like what we want to accomplish as a pack.
I dig that, but what if it was a pack ambition? As opposed to the thing we do from a moment to the next, right? A pack is still made up of individuals, but like we have a goal that, you know, motivates us over longer periods of time, and then our desires might still be personal.
I like that. If we just all decide like this is our pack ambition, and then we can all have our own desires as well.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I can get on board with that.
Agreed.
I like it.
All right. Well, they're going to team up with that. So that means at the beginning of the session, everyone's going to, we'll try to show up a little early. We'll discuss what the pack desire is. Sound fair?
So,
Hold on. I think we just agreed we'd have the pack ambition be the same, right? Meaning the long-term goal and the desires would still be individual.
Well, the ambition needs to be individual, right? Because I misheard, and that's because I was dealing with a kitty revolt.
Okay.
The pack desire, I have no problem with that because each game session, it keeps you on task as a pack. Feel me? If this is the direction you wanted to do, this is reminding you what you guys were accomplishing, what you wanted to see done, roll through, see it done, not a problem. However, the ambition is something that your character should have that keeps them active as a mover and shaker to do, and you're different characters, right, in that regard. So it might be in Mike's cards, because he's playing a La Sombra, to see the traders pay. And sure, the pack's hunting down La Sombra. However, Michelli doesn't care about that. That's not his goal. What he's trying to do is reestablish his hold in Madrid to take over Castle de Ambros, whatever, to dismantle it. Because of the threat Ob Tenebration represents, or whatever the hell that might be, because of the cult of Shalim. That's a thing. But that's his secret, right? He wants the La Sombra dead, sure, but it's to this end. There's a homeland thing that's attached to it that maybe he doesn't want to share. Because remember, in the Sabbat, packs are temporary. Like, they very much can be. They're formed for a purpose. And then they move on, right?
okay, I mean, I guess that works. That works for the same reason that the alternative would, right? We have desires that are pack desires from week to week, but we each have individual ambitions. Yeah, it's an inversion, but I don't see any problem with that.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. It'll keep, like we always have, that it keeps our characters separate but maintains us as a pack with the desire. So like we're always moving as a pack, but our ambitions are always at the front of our head as well. That way we're not just all like, holding hands or whatever.
Not singing Kumbaya every night when we wake up.
Unless you want to.
No, I'm not playing Christian Camp Sabbat member.
It's up to you guys. I don't think it's a bad idea. I don't think it's a bad idea either way. Remember, it's what you guys want to do.
Yeah, individual ambitions, pack desires. Seems we are great.
All right. Coterie types, as it has in the book, just replace coterie with pack because you can build your own. We don't need to exhaust them here. We know how this is done, right? It's a simple thing. It's a build system, a lot of agreeing, disagreeing, stuff like that. We could do a lot of that offline to pick it. Things you need to consider. How do you maintain where you're at? That's that secrecy aspect or hidden aspect or safety is what you're looking for. That's going to be a focus you'll want. Another one is that herd. it may not be prudent for you to wander the streets to go out and feed. Right? Makes sense. You're in enemy territory. You might want to remain hidden if that's your goal. And how do you do that? How do you reverse, however you want to say it? Whether you have a restaurant and you guys camp above and you help deliver orders to make sure that the few people come there late at night, some people come upstairs, some people like to return because they order that, the Dim Mak special, which seems to be a goofy name, but it's just really a way to say it's super hot kung pao during the day, at night, and get you invited upstairs. The chef wants to see how you like the flavor, and you get bit by a pack, and then they don't remember being up there because you have a system set up for that, and you send them away. I'm just spitballing, but you could have literally whatever you want for that herd to go there, but that's something, don't just put dots in and then let someone else take care of it. Why you need to talk about it, that's what a pack would do. Right? We all contribute to this system to see it done, and we all have a hand in how this is operated. I like the idea that, just to stick with a ridiculous scenario, one of you knows how to cook. Maybe at night, when it's late at night, you are in the back for a couple hours helping out. Let the guy go on break because he's been there all day, and he gets to go out and do whatever. He's back in 2 hours while you're hanging out there, and since you're packing together, you're all hanging out there, and then you move on from that point forward, right? After he comes back. But while he's out doing that, the rest of you are garnering information or figuring something out, whatever it is. And that's, yeah, but
The rebels.
man, they're on the ball, man. We tried that. I'll just tell you this. We were like, put them in the room. I was like, it's like 2-3 hours. I want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Just let them run around. They've been tearing this place up.
It's because they know.
Only when she's gone. Only when she's gone, they tear it up.
They know.
Exerting dominance.
Because it's the boys.
Exerting dominance.
So, but I don't want to digress. So after that, there's that point. The last part I have here is because it's your show on how this goes. I don't particularly care. How experienced do you guys want to be starting? I personally think starting characters is a little ridiculous to ask, considering the monumental task you're signing yourself up for.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah.
I would like to at least be old enough, number one, for it to make sense that we're on a path, and number two, for us to remember the before times.
So like,
right, I'm not saying 1,000 years, but I'm saying like we should remember. We should be old enough to remember the V20 continuity.
so like 25 years old maybe, which could be old for a Sabbat member.
I don't remember what the tiers are for experience level, but old enough for that, I'm satisfied.
I was about to say, because when you start taking a look at it as well, one of the main things you wanted to do was have the story explored to you to figure out why and we're on the front lines and what happened to the Sabbat to where we currently are. So we already remember the before times. We already have a template for why we already exist and what's happening there.
Yeah, but what I mean is you care more about the before times if you were there.
But that's not what you requested earlier, right? Because earlier I thought we agreed that we were going to go through, I want this explained to me. I want to find out what happened on the front line. I want to explore the absence of the Sabbat and why we are where we are on the front line.
But I'm not looking to have the fundamentals of the Sabbat explored to me. I'm looking to find out why I used to be able to go to Montreal on a pilgrimage, for a scion of my path. And now the Montreal that I remember was taken from me, and I have no idea what the details, the particulars of that loss are. So I'm not saying be a brand new member of the sect who's trying to play catch up. I'm saying be someone who was present, can remember before Disco died, right? Like, and say, how did this happen? How do I get back what meant so much to me? Or at least, how do I take my revenge on the people who are the reason for it?
Go ahead. I agree with Mike. Like, I want to be like, this ain't the Sabbat I knew. Like, this ain't my Sabbat. Like, like what happened to my Sabbat? Where's everybody at?
It's an interesting point. I just want to add the obvious, right? And that is, if you knew what the Sabbat was and what it's like not to have what you have, why didn't you go through on what you were a part of and go follow what's going on in the Mideast? Why not turn to chronicle that? I didn't say we couldn't do that. If you guys want to go on that trip, let's do that. You want to be part of the war? Well, let's go to war. Right? You want to play those cats? That's where those cats went. They were fighting to keep what they had. You're about the new guard that got left behind that doesn't feel the call, that are left with these rumors and legends of what it was. Remember me mentioning that? A hollowed out Montreal is they're hollowed out left with whoever the hell is there that's young enough to hold it down.
So there isn't like some intermediate range where, well, again, I'm old enough to remember what came before, but I wasn't old enough to be compelled to leave.
That's here's a juxtaposition, because that would be the same. Like if I'm on a path, I'm devoted to whatever it was I would have already gone to war. At that point, it's like, why didn't I go to war? Why was I a coward? So unless we're playing the game of we're cowards, we stayed behind, and now we got to get ourselves back into grace. Now we're redefining, which I have no problems with, but we have to understand where it's coming from. You can't have the best of both worlds in this case where I get to exist back then, and then I also want to play discovery mode. It's literally like, we doing discovery mode, or are we going to be the folks that we're cowards, and we're 47 roading it. We got to make it up to our Shogun somehow.
I don't think that's necessarily cowardice, though. There still has to be people at home, no matter what. Like, these strongholds and stuff still have to be held. Like, just because you didn't go to the Middle East, that doesn't make you a coward.
Oh, of course not. Just in the eyes of the Inquisition.
I'll take that fight. Why doesn't it? You were embracing the sect to do a war, to go against the antediluvians and the ancients, to take on those elders when they rise up with their army as an army. Mm-hmm. What do you mean you didn't go?
Why isn't the reason that we didn't go the fact that we were sent, that we were on assignment to deal with the Lasombra?
I don't know. That's what I'm asking you.
I feel like that's a perfectly valid reason to still be in the continental U.S.
Now you're the Sabbat. You're gonna go fight a war, but wait a second. The Lasombra defected. Okay, go get them. We need every single vampire we got to take on whatever ancients are out there in this army. But wait a minute, we got to concern ourselves with Lasombra leaving.
I mean, didn't both things happen?
It's really?
Which one's
vampire blood gods wake up, and you know the monumental power that is. It's freaking biblical. But you think someone has time to go, they betrayed us. Not on my watch. You, as good as you are, go back and deal with those traitors.
I don't know why there's a pirate making those decisions.
I'm just because only a pirate would come up with some ridiculous betrayal theme that had that going. I'm not saying your idea is ridiculous, but make that make sense, man. Like, okay, so Lasombra defect is when we started with this idea we could do it, but someone says you feel that's cowardice. The answer was, why is it got to be cowardice? Because we left behind. And it's a good discussion. What it says is, well, that's up to you, isn't it?
I think that if we are going with the idea that someone more powerful than us is enabling us to hunt treacherous Lasombra,
let's address this. What I threw out was an idea. Do not give away your power by saying someone else decided for you. That's never been the Sabbat, never will it be. What I want you to do, though, is come up with, because when I hear that, it's like you're saying responsibilities in the person who sent us. Ain't nobody sending you. That's the point of this, right? We talked about loyalists defecting. They're done. They chose not to go and to follow what they're doing because they're young enough not to feel that call, right? It doesn't say anything about the elder loyalists who didn't have a choice because they still feel it. Or maybe they're battling and in their own way discovered how to battle that call. We talked about that as a plot point as well for non-Sabbat, just vampire elders in general. So that's that. You can play with that idea, but don't limit your reasons is what I'm saying. Like if for you, it's a matter, remember this pack can be formed out of whatever background you came from. You could be a loyalist, Mike, and you decide, nah, I chose to stay. Aren't you a loyalist? Yeah, we suck, but I'm here. This is me. I'm not those guys. Those guys are traitors. I'm still in it because I believe in what goes on. However, there's no way I'm strong enough to go over and fight that fight. Call me a coward if you want to, but someone's got to be here to hold down the home front when you guys return. I'm more useful here.
I'll say whatever the background cause is. I like the idea that the reason we are in the States and not in the Middle East is because we are hunting Lasombra. That's kind of I feel like I assumed that, I guess, when we were talking earlier. even though region hadn't come up yet. Like, we don't know. We don't know why there would be any Sabbat left in North America, but hunting a treacherous clan that used to be one of our pillars.
Well,
Seems
at
like a
that point,
strong
right,
motivation.
that's ST call. He's telling that story. We're just part of it. So like we can't assume that Bob is already giving us what the structure is going to be. We just know this is the plan. We made this. I'm completely fine and trustful of Bob to go ahead and let us know how and why that happens. All we got to figure out is from our perspective, from character perspective, where your backgrounds are, where we're starting from. But that's an individual call as well. Like you said, all of us will have different ways of reasoning to pack up as well.
Okay, well, I guess, bringing it back to point. My answer is Ancilla, Bob.
Okay. Sound good for everybody else?
No problem
I prefer
here.
a little younger, but I'll go with what the pack says.
I'm actually with DJ on this one. I feel like Ancilla's. I can't justify. It's gonna go back to that conversation. I can't justify why would it be that old and not follow the call, right? Because Lil Sombra leaving the spot, definitely a problem. It's below the elders waking up in
Yeah.
the Gehenna.
If a god wakes up and apocalypse happen, doesn't matter where I stay, we're all gonna die. It's now or never.
Yeah.
So I'm totally fine with Ancilla. I'm totally fine with being that old because the way I'm viewing the pack right now is we're almost just like, this seems like we're just going out for like vengeance. Like I imagine other people are going to be like, what the fuck are you still doing here? Like those fucking La Sombra, right? Like we got to take care of them. But they're like, that's not what we're about. And like, no, that's what we're about.
Okay.
And then
So we're more like of that loyalist bent that left the Sabbat hiding. We're now in the Anarchs, but we hate the La Sombra because they flipped to the Camarilla. It's like at least we didn't go over there. Is that the idea?
well, I'm trying to justify it now, right? This is the theme, and we're trying, you're saying that you don't want to do Ancilla because that's too old. Like, why wouldn't we have answered the call? And you're saying that doesn't make sense. I'm trying to make it make sense.
Okay. Consensus though, not just okay. Yeah, I got you. I'm tracking with the goal.
Well, I think it's very simple to point out that if you're going to be in Scylla, that's going to up the ante on what it has to make sense. You're really going to have to answer that question. No one's going to have an easy out. Like I won't accept because I just felt like it at that point.
Bob,
right?
Bob, refresh my memory. What is because we're still obviously out of game. What is the precise, or to the level of detail that we have it, explanation of what has called the elders, why they felt the need to go?
So the detailed explanation why the elders have to go, it's not what you think, right? It can't be. They're going to feed you a line of shit. You have to know that because not everybody feels the call. But those who feel the call have pull in the sect. They have those loyal to them. They have packs. Whole cities have done vernaculum with them.
Mm-hmm.
That's the part I don't think you're looking at. It really doesn't matter why Elder A feels the call to go over there, but there is everyone loyal to Elder A that is not going to let them go alone. Right? You feel the call, they're calling all of us then, and we're going. And that's why these cities are being pulled out, because the Sabbat are moving to march to war. Get how frightening that is. You think the Camarilla are hiding from the Second Inquisition? Bullshit. Creative writing, blah, blah, blah. But look at your starting groups. You're neonates inside of what, like 1940s or on is when you're playing in V5 mainly, right? And that's the era you're stuck in unless you start at that Ancilla level. Why they're keeping it that low power level is because everybody of an upper level has loyalties, buy-ins, reasons why they would pour out and go. That's the point. Those who stayed behind, though, NPCs in the book, if it shows us by Chicago by night, they have their reasons. They didn't feel the call yet, so they're there. Camarilla, then screw you. It's my own personal decision on what I want to do and not do, and I don't have a vernaculum to pull me further. However, in the Sabbat, we don't have that luxury. The vernaculum is a chain that you see visibly. Elder X gets pulled, everyone back to B gets pulled with. And they all go. Why? Because that's what loyalty is. And so if we're going to ensure survival, then we're marching to war. And we don't know what that is. And we don't know why they were stopped. And we don't know if there's factional warring. And you're not going to know that full story. There is no news reporter going on this just in. Sabbat's getting its ass kicked. This shit didn't make it. But if you could put in your head, what would it be to mobilize a group of vampires to go from point USA, Mexico, to now get to Europe to wage a war? Not to mention march through to get to the Middle East. Right? Unknown territory, the whole shebang. That's a lot to consider. You know, they can mobilize armies. They can mobilize whatever they wanted over there. Folks aren't looking necessarily. And there's all sorts of ambush points and things of that nature they could set up and have established, because that's the privileges of being a hidden society for centuries, building them up. And that's what you do. But are they going to let you get a report who's back here to decide whether you're going to go or not? No. And it's ridiculous for you to think they would. You're not going to know. You're going to get the same line of bullshit we give any soldier going to war. Hey, we're getting our asses kicked by these Krauts. You know, you want to speak German tomorrow? Then join the army today and save America for what we stand for and jump on in. Meanwhile, your brother gets let out at the beach in Normandy, right? Becomes a casualty real quick. We get slaughtered, right? Nuke is going to get dropped. They don't tell you we have it or we could do it. Nobody ever freaking talks about the soldiers who were out on the battlefield when that occurred and how they felt about it. Like there's a lot that you don't get told because you're a soldier. You're but a cog in the wheel. And if you think the Sabbat's all about the cool people signing up, being individuals, having a choice, and they gave you a plus and minus column, then you don't understand what a mass embrace is. You don't get what being a shovelhead is, and you don't get what it is to have to sacrifice your humanity to be a true vampire, to belong in a sect of fanatic killers dedicated to wiping out an ancient enemy nobody has ever seen, nobody will ever understand. And then all of a sudden, all the hype and hoopla is real. Those who you looked up to said, let's stop warming the can. We gotta go take care of the threat where it rose up. It's too late. That's what you know.
So that being the case, I would kind of rather be at war than hunt the Sombra. Like if I'm being honest, right? Like
I love that.
Look, first of all, hunting La Sombra, I'm pretty sure was not my pitch. But regardless, it sounded cool. But if there's all these underlying justifications for why we definitely would not be doing that over a certain age, if we were really committed to what the Sabbat is about, then I would rather be playing a Sabbat game where I'm committed to the Sabbat than play a Sabbat game where I'm hunting traitors.
You can still be...
But Mike, it was your idea to say we want to find out what happens in game.
Yeah, that's...
And now you're...
Yes, and we...
But that's very broad!
No, hold on. That's why DJ and I were saying we should play younger ones, because that way we're still in the U.S., like we talked about. We're still holding things down, like we kind of like threw out as an idea earlier.
But then you could flip that on his head and say, if I'm this young, why do I give a fuck what the La Sombra did? A traitor is a traitor, so I'll kill him if I find him.
So then we don't go after La Sombra.
We don't have to worry about La Sombra.
Hold up. You guys are in violation of a tenet that you agreed to. I don't know if you know that.
Which one?
Frank, can you guess which tenet?
Is it the maturity? Is it the...
No, I'm not at all. I think this is a very mature discussion. Just saying.
Good.
Follow through.
Follow through.
Yep.
Follow through. We locked it. Once we move past that topic, we keep going with it.
So I'm okay with it. I'm showing you how easy it is to violate a tenet. Yep. Right now, people will be taking some hits, right? Just saying, pointing out for fun. And also a breaking point. It is true. It's a rare opportunity to be a part of that war, right? People always talk about what is it to be religious in the Sabbat, to have ritual in the Sabbat, to have that dogma, that belief. Religion is belief, but it becomes fanaticism when you have to prove it, and there's a reason to prove it, right? Everyone's an atheist until Jesus comes. Just pointing it out. Once there's a Jewish guy walking around resurrecting dead friends, I bet you sing a different tune, Mr. Atheist, right? And you better. Now, that's just how it goes, right? I'm not poking at anybody's religion fun, but I'm just saying that causes you to flip. The same thing happens here. Can you imagine, just if you thought about it? Here you are, the cardinal in the sect chilling, and for how many centuries you've just been feeding off these younger Sabbat. Yeah, the blood gods might awaken one day, and but we killed the Antediluvian, we killed an Antediluvian. You're like, guys, it's sure. They'll awaken one night, blah, blah, blah. Well, what do you mean something woke up in the east?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had a nightmare, and I felt like I had to go. I don't know why I have to. I was making plans to go, but I didn't. You felt it too. It wasn't just us, but we're two different clans. Yeah. What does that mean? We don't know. We have to answer it. Do we? I can't get it out of my mind. Right? What's that pull like? And then they can't fight it. Or more importantly, think of ennui for that elder. How long have they been stagnant, the bloated tick leading the war machine and spinning this dogma that it's just easy to get what they want and get you to do it. And then suddenly they feel it in them that this curiosity has occurred. Powerful enough to pull them, to seduce them to go to it. And it is a seduction. It's the unknown. It's different. It's change. They're going to go out there and do it. And then when they're asked by those loyal to them, it could be my life. Interesting. How long has it been since I've been on the battlefield? And you can't help me with it. I have to see it through. Well, you won't go alone. Why? I'm your Templar. I'll report it. We'll mobilize it. We'll make sure that we got this, that, and the other. Sure. Let's make sure everything's in order. Of course you can come with me, my pack. And you go to leave. Yeah, screw it. Ezekiel 25:17, easily one of the most popular packs out of Montreal. You know, the call comes out. Do you think they wait for the Black Hand to tell them where to go? Or did they stand up there and go, yeah, the war's now. We knew it was coming. We're the mover and shakers, and we're the ones that end it. They die tonight, and we're answering the call. We're going to follow whoever else goes. Mm-hmm. The Nadists go. Those in Nocturnal Redemption are going. Anyone who's been to the Black Citadel that's heard the call that's an elder knows why they formed the Black Citadel in the first place. They're marching to a belief, because what was their existence if they don't go? That's that question, right, that they have to answer. Now, while they're going, there's going to be those people who sit by and go, fools, you marched to your death. Everyone we've sent to figure out what's going on hasn't been back. The Black Hand hasn't come back. And they're the ones who tell us the truth about what goes on. Have you heard of them? No. The Assamites defected. Why is that? They heard a call of their own long before this happened. And they haven't been back. So now's my chance, though. I can rise up. Look at this citadel left behind in Montreal. These fools, the Camarilla, will come sweeping in thinking we're gone. We're not gone. I know what to take. I know what important things to keep to me. I know what to collect. And they'll come in, and I'll be that weird elder that comes in right along with them. I won't take a position. I'm an advisor. I got to give time for my Diablo veins to fade anyway. Right? Because that is why. Because he's young enough not to feel the call, but devious enough not to have bought into the dogma anyway. Here's that unanswered aspect of the Sabbat. If you're a veteran Sabbat member, how many packs do you think you've been in?
Shit.
If you're a veteran?
I'm going to go with a lot. I'm going to go with a high number, Bob.
Right? Because if you're a shovelhead, you came in with a mass group, you get whittled down to like 5. Mm-hmm. What are the odds you keep that pack throughout the next whatever? And not high. And they tell you that, but then you might get with a really good one after that, right? Typically the third one ends up being solid if you didn't have to crusade immediately, right? Or something else didn't happen. But there's danger, lupines, hunters, you name it, the Sabbat face it. And that's what goes on. But now if you're part of this veteran pack, how long before you go, hang on a second, this is Detroit. My last pack died in a drive-by of FOSS rounds. Was that kid 14? Over some crack rocks. What the hell happened? Why did that happen? Right? We don't know what's going on. Who told them to use that type of ammo? We have no idea. We feel the call, bro. What are you talking about? We're all marching to war. Get the hell out of here then. Like we got stuff to do here. What do you mean you're leaving? Well, we'll be back. Keep the fires. Yeah, sure. I'll hold your bank accounts for you. Right? The point is, you all are determining, yes, we're going with, or are you going to sit behind and say we're in a cult pack and we're studying the call and we're trying to figure out why people feel the pull? Are you going to decide that one or two of you are that? Are you part of the Inquisition or wanting to be? Are you part of that, what is that interesting order of Saint, we like the mortals, and we're sticking behind? Right, the order of Saint Blaise, and we always said the mortals were good with us. So we're going to sit behind and we're going to hold down the home fires because strangely we don't feel the pull. Because it might be the run honorable court of humanity. We don't have a problem with mortals. But whatever's pulling vampires to them is only wanting people who are, I guess, true vampires. Or whatever that is. We don't know why. But we're going to sit back and study and figure it out. Don't want to do that? You want to be the roving nomads who run through and shit kick and that's all you know? and you didn't hear anything why people left and you didn't feel the call and you're rolling into a sabbat. You're rolling into Chicago expecting, didn't we say we were crusading from this suburb? No one's here. No, we're here. I made it. Who are you? Greg? Greg, what's you? I'm Greg Mentosa. I've been doing 8 balls off of hookers' backsides for the last month and a half, and I really need you guys to come here. I put on about 80 pounds in like a month. It's been nothing but cheesecake and hooker butt all day long. I need something real, right? And just help that poor Xantosa Revenant out. And then you're like, sure. What do you know? I got these keys for you. I got this whole slew of weapons you could use. That's that. And I think some elder wanted like a new tub brought in for a bloodbath. We designed a house. But like, we got all the accoutrement for you to call yourself whatever you want. Yeah, bro. Are they coming back?
Okay. So, having heard that, I don't see any reason why we could not be Ancilla who are hunting with Sombra. And if we need to come together for a pack concept and figure out the details of that.
You did hear why not. Right?
I don't. I don't hear it.
Here's the math. Michelli, DJ, Brennan want room to grow. That's what you're not doing. That's the real reason. I'll help you out, Mike. You want to start with all the candy and all the tools. I'm okay if everybody wants to do that. Kind of boring to start with it all, because what's the point of discovery? And how well are you going to know to use it? That's my personal ruling, though. If I'm going to start with powers already and I got like 8 of them in the book, then what? I'm not going to remember to use them all or even how to use them. I know that's true. Mike, you're going to sit back and read the book and go, I got this, that, and the other thing, and this, that, and the other thing, and then wonder why you're dead. And then turn around and go, oh, man, I could have used these 4 powers I didn't even know because I didn't learn them. I just put them on my sheet. That's okay, because if we agree that everyone's playing Ancilla, then I'm not going to let you just walk in that great beyond and not know. But there are going to be pauses in the game you got to prepare for, because you're going to want to look and make sure your power works the way it does. And then it's okay because Michelli have to do the same with his Ancilla. It's okay because Brennan wants to do the same for his character. That means that everybody agrees to the fact that this might be a little slow at times as we acclimate to what we took. But you're not talking about game progression, plot, or even the fun factor. You're just talking about, I want what's mine. And that's what I'm trying to feed. If everybody's here going, gimme, okay, we could have a gimme game. That doesn't bother me. I don't care if you're elders. It's your call. It's just what you're doing is telling me how high you want me to turn it up. The expectations move up when that happens too. So do the challenges. But if you're new, what's fun about being new, I'm not talking baby new, right? No one said that, but more than Ancilla. You ever heard of Diablerie?
I have, in fact.
Uh-huh. So where are you going to grow then? Like, aren't you supposed to have an idea of a progression? You're nomadic. Like, it's great that you want to play a veteran nomadic pack, but then you argued against the own common sense of that. Right? Because you're asking me, what's the story as to why everyone's like blah, blah, blah. Well, a nomad veteran would probably have the connections to know that information. So it's not me answering that question. You have to give me that reason as to why you chose not to go. It's a different story if you're young enough to where you don't feel that call at all. Right? You've been doing your thing.
I'm comfortable spending some time chewing on that, though, especially if we do it together. But I seem to be in the minority, so I will.
So Mike is a different slot, and we're just going to move on now. We're going to do majority, right? I'm not being mean. I just want majority. Everybody's heard enough. We'll be talking about this for minutes, and Mike's studying to be a lawyer. I think we can agree that it's going to be an argument for the ages if we keep at this. So it's not about convincing him. It's about what he has to deal with, and we'll adapt. So what are we looking at? We got DJ and Brennan for no. Let's do something younger. We got Mike for Ancilla. Michelli, where are you officially?
Younger for sure. I like you said, I like that growth. Reaching for the stars, it's no fun if I already have all the powers at my disposal.
Okay. And so, Brennan and Mike, you still want to play knowing that that's what the 3 of them want to do. Is that a deal breaker for you, or do you feel that you could adapt? That's okay. You understand?
Yeah, I'll figure it out.
Yeah, no, I'm totally okay with playing younger too. I was just,
you understand the argument. I'm not saying you did. I'm just helping everyone out. So we're gonna do neonates, right? You're definitely not gonna be children. Don't bore me. But neonates works. And what we're gonna do here, though, there's gonna be some factors based on how you build your coterie. We'll see if the points will. In other words, You're going to get what you have and what you guys group decide that you're going to show up with. But if there's ever a pain point where it's not quite fitting or whatever, I'm not going to grinch you on it. I'm not concerned with the, hey, this really needed for concept, but the points don't allow it. I don't care what the points allow. I want you to have a starting point to see your vision.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're agreeing to. And so this will work out. And I think 15 experience on top of it, the way they have it in the book, is enough to do that and to be in and go. So that's where we're going to be at. We know it's going to be Chicago. It is Naperville, Illinois, that you're going to be out of because it's going to be interesting. Just to say for me, nostalgic and humorous, if nothing else. That you're going to be bassist in going for. Now, the simple factor of what you know, I will get more of that out to you, but you already heard a lot of it, right? By what you're choosing, though, we're going with this generalized theme. You are a nomadic pack, free to talk about what themes and personal ignobles vitae you do with each other that comes in. But whoever's Ductus, whoever's priest, and we should probably hammer that out now. Let's look at that. Who's Ductus material? Not Michelli, not Brennan.
What? Why not? God damn it.
Michelli's a Ductus in another sabbat game, right? Brennan typically gets thrown into leadership roles.
Yo, I can duck this. Ain't no thing.
Brandon wants the Ductus. All right, so that's DJ the priest, or is that Mike the priest?
Sure, out of Pappy.
DJ slips the noose again.
Yeah, I know. I was hoping we could finally get DJ Priest. I could throw that somewhere.
I'm sorry, I misspoke. I said Pappy and I meant Ductus. And Brandon took that already. Darn. I guess that makes DJ the priest.
What just happened? How does this logic work?
What Mike did was a rope-a-dope. He was really like, yeah, it's me. Slip. And,
I shall be the priest then.
He's waving.
He dropped the reverse card in Uno.
So the only two things I ever expect out of a priest is a welcome ritus and an acceptance ritus. Now, why would this matter in an established pack that has all this? The acceptance ritus gives an idea of what you guys would have gone through to belong to the pack initially. Because you guys may or may not were the original guard. If you guys are just the people who agreed to be together and part of the pack, I still want a priest to give an acceptance ritus because it's something you guys are prepared to give to others to join. Right? It's something the priest would have taught to you about and may have put you through depending on what it is. At least talked about it, gives flavor of what you're in. The second thing is a welcome ritus is how you greet other packs or expect to be. Mm-hmm. It's a level of respect, whether you give a gift or whether you have a specific, well, you're going to have a specific sign, but like, I always enjoy in the sabbat pack, the priest takes it upon themselves to step forward and speak to the priest of the other pack. And when they talk, both priests exchange either information about where they're from to verify that each pack is that. But once accepted, the part of the welcome ritus of the home pack is to take them out feeding. We'll now take you somewhere to do that as a welcome ritus to bring you in, see the sights, drop you off at the communal haven. Mm-hmm. Welcome to the sabbat town. And it's a good thing to have, but you make it your flavor, right? You could have that. You could do that old school monk thing because all our hands were dirty back in the day. And so what they did was they did a light kiss, lips touched, that was it. Or it was to the cheek and they moved on. Nothing odd about it other than it was a greeting of respect amongst interesting places. And Liberty's taken in film shown, which is where I saw it. But I had to look it up and had to write it on paper because I used a term my mother was not happy with. So that's yeah, I was a naughty boy when I said it. So that's that. So understanding was needed. I was educated. So bottom line, that's an affectation. We're officially done unless you guys got anything else you want to add here to get it going, because that's enough for game sessions to get going from here on out.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely. Yep.
All right. In the Discord, I put down there what we talked about, tenets and chronicle for your character, your sheets. Just get them into me before next session. Try to give me a week. I do believe in tethering people to plot, even though you're a pack individually, you're going to have a lot going on. Mm-hmm. I do not expect sheets. You know me. I don't expect sheets of a background. I'm happy with bullet points. In particular, you're not centuries old.
Yeah.
But at least I need to know about your creation right and something that tells me your belief in the sabbat, your viewpoint in it. You know, why are you here or what do you expect from it? That way we know what to look forward to and how to operate with that.
For sure.
Yeah, Gustus.
All right.
Works for me.
That's all I got.
Well, all right, folks. I guess we will see y'all in 2 weeks.
You got it.
2
Let's wrap it
weeks.
up.